Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us for this coronavirus update. I'm Jordan Fremstead. House Democrats unveiled a new coronavirus relief bill yesterday. The previous plans all passed with bipartisan support, but this bill was crafted without Republican input, and GOP leaders are saying it has no chance to pass the Senate as is. Natalie Brand has more details from the White House.
The House could vote as soon as Friday on its latest coronavirus relief bill. The $3 trillion package includes up to $1 trillion for state and local governments, $200 billion in hazard pay for essential workers, and a second round of $1,200 stimulus payments for individuals up to $6,000 per household.
There are those who said, let's just pause. But the families who are suffering know that hunger doesn't take a pause, the rent doesn't take a pause, the bills don't take a pause, the hardship of losing a job or tragically losing a loved one doesn't take a pause.
But Republicans have already declared the Democratic proposal dead on arrival in the Senate.
We're going to insist on doing narrowly targeted legislation, if and when we do legislate again, and we may well, that addresses the problems.
The White House Coronavirus Task Force is scheduled to meet this afternoon. Dr. Anthony Fauci and the head of CDC say they will now resume attending White House meetings in person as long as they remain asymptomatic, wear face masks, and practice social distancing. The health experts testified remotely before the Senate yesterday about potential consequences for states reopening without meeting CDC guidelines.
There is a real risk that you will trigger an outbreak you may not be able to control.
My message later today will be that we really need to build contact tracing around the country. That's going to be our key capacity for the next 6 months to a year.
Dr. Tom Inglesby from Johns Hopkins University is one of several health experts testifying this afternoon as part of the first hearing from the House's newly formed Coronavirus Oversight Subcommittee. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
President Trump is scheduled to meet with the governors of Colorado and North Dakota this afternoon. A little more than half of Wisconsin voters say they trust Governor Tony Evers more than the state legislature when it comes when to reopen the state. That's according to a new Marquette Law School poll. 33% of people that responded said they trust the legislature more. When broken down by political party, there is a divide. A majority of those who identified as Republican or leaning Republican said they have more trust in the legislature. A majority of Democrats that responded said they trust Governor Evers more. The poll, which was conducted May 3rd through the 7th, has a margin of error of 4 points. The total number of infections across Wisconsin is a little more than 10,600. 418 people have died from the virus in the state. 5,300 of the cases have now recovered. State health officials say they have met 5 of the 6 criteria needed to move forward with the Badger Bounce Back plan. The only criteria still needed is a downward trend of influenza-like illnesses reported in a 14-day period. 2 new cases are being reported in Vernon County at this time. Both men are in their 50s and are recovering at their homes. An employee at Trane Company's Plant 4 in La Crosse has tested positive for COVID-19. The employee is recovering at home, and the company leaders say they haven't identified a risk to other employees, and they say active screening, social distancing, frequent daily cleaning and disinfecting, and personal protective equipment are in place at Trane facilities. La Crosse County officials are waiting for final approval for a COVID-19 testing site. An application has been submitted to bring in Wisconsin National Guard members to run a testing site. That would be similar to sites that have been held throughout the state, including in Buffalo County. The exact details are still being worked on.
It will be a site we hope will be later next week. We don't have the date finalized yet until we get the approval from the National Guard, but we anticipate it being later next week.
It is expected the site will be specifically for people with symptoms of COVID-19. In Minnesota, there are now nearly 13,000 COVID-19 infections. 638 people have died. More than 8,100 people in the state have recovered. 1 additional case is being reported in Winona County. In Iowa, Allamakee County has 113 cases. Nearly 13,300 people in the state have tested positive. 306 people have died. There are more than 5,900 recoveries. The La Crosse Area Family YMCA is making plans to reopen. Under a new normal, the Y plans to begin reopening its La Crosse and Onalaska branches on Monday, June 1st. The reopening will be done in phases, following national and local guidelines to keep staff and members safe. Plans are still being finalized for the reopening and will be shared in the coming days. We want to thank you so much for joining us for this coronavirus update, and we hope to see you tonight at 5, 6, and 10. Have a great day.